The forest was dying. Its trees stood like burned bones against the night sky, their blackened branches clawing toward the pale, ash-covered moon. Snow fell without sound, thick and heavy, muffling the last whimpers of the wounded. In the heart of Blackridge, where no birds dared fly, a lone figure crawled through the frost. His name was Cale, a werewolf, but barely. His body was torn, clawed ribs, cracked limbs, blood soaking into the snow beneath him. The final trial had ended in disaster. The pack had watched in silence, then turned their backs. Exile, a fate worse than death for any wolf. Now he pulled alone, breath shallow, rage thick in his throat. But he would not beg, not for life, not for mercy. Snowflakes melted against his fevered skin. Pain blurred his vision, but something stirred beyond it. A scent, not wolf, not human, something older, colder, yet warm in a strange, terrible way. It wasn't fear that gripped him as he raised his head. It was longing. She stepped into view like a shadow born from the moonlight itself. Her dress trailed through the snow without leaving a trace. Pale skin shimmered like glass beneath strands of silver hair. Her eyes, deep red, with a glow that pulsed like a slow-burning ember, locked onto his. That didn't blink, that didn't flinch. They studied him like a creature she might crush, or save, or love for a fleeting fatal moment. Cale bared his teeth. A low growl rumbled from his chest. He pushed himself up despite the agony, every muscle screaming. His instincts told him to fight, to flee, but something stronger held him still. She moved closer. Not a sound escaped her. No heartbeat, no breath. Just the soft hum of something unnatural beneath her skin. Her presence made the forest hold its breath. Even the snowflakes slowed around her, as if time itself bent to her will. Cale's pulse quickened. He could smell the blood in her veins, ancient, rich, dangerous. His wolf nature wanted to tear it from her throat. But another part of him, buried deeper, wanted something else, wanted her. She knelt beside him, fingertips gliding just above his ruined shoulder, not touching, not yet. "You're not like the others," she said, voice soft as silk, sharp as ice. Cale's jaw clenched. "I don't need your pity." She smiled, and the forest seemed to darken around them. "I wasn't offering any." Then, without warning, she leaned closer. Her lips brushed the side of his neck, cool and electric. Cale froze. Every nerve in his body lit up. He could feel her hunger, not just for blood, but for him, as if something inside her called to something inside him. Her fangs grazed his skin, not piercing, just a promise. "You should fear me," she whispered. "I don't," he growled, voice rough. "I should, but I don't." She pulled back slightly, studying him again. Her eyes held something unspoken. Curiosity, desire, sorrow, maybe even recognition, as if they had danced this dance before in another life beneath another moon. Then, with deliberate grace, she sank her fangs into his neck. The pain was a firestorm. But underneath it, pleasure, power, and something far more terrifying bloomed in his veins. Not death, not decay, something new. Cale gasped, fists clenched in the snow. She held him gently, as if he were something precious. And when she finally drew back, blood on her lips, her voice was nearly a lullaby. "You'll hate me for what comes next." He looked up at her, eyes glowing gold now, no longer weak. "Let it come." And somewhere in the darkness, the ash moon watched. Cale woke to silence. No birds, no wind, just the crackling whisper of dying embers. He lay on a stone floor, surrounded by shattered glass and broken statues. Moonlight spilled through the roof of what had once been a chapel, now forgotten and swallowed by time. Vines crept up cracked pillars, reaching like fingers toward the light. The air was thick with dust and something sweeter, blood, faint and lingering. His body felt different, stronger, tighter. The pain was still there, but deeper now, like something buried under fire. He moved, slow at first, then faster. His hands trembled, claws half-formed. His breathing came sharp, wild, like a beast rising from sleep. And then he felt her. Before he saw her, her presence filled the room, quiet, heavy, impossible to ignore. It pressed against his chest like invisible chains. He turned toward the doorway, heart hammering. She stood there in the frame of the ruined arch, as if the night had carved her from starlight and shadow. Lyra, barefoot, her dress flowing behind her like smoke, she moved with the grace of something that had never belonged to the earth. Her skin gleamed, cold as moon water, and her silver hair fell in perfect waves down her back. The look in her eyes was unreadable, calm, endless, dangerous. Cale rose to his feet. His muscles screamed, but he stood tall, proud, no longer crawling, no longer dying. Her bite had changed him. Not fully wolf, not fully vampire. Something in between. Something wrong, yet right. She watched him in silence. He took a step forward, then another. "What did you do to me?" His voice was rough but steady. "I gave you what you asked for," she said. He growled, "I didn't ask for anything." "Your eyes did," she said, stepping into the moonlight. "Your soul did." He stopped a breath away from her. The air between them sparked, thick with tension. His instincts screamed. Fight. Flee. Take. Touch. Too many voices. Too much fire in his blood. "You turned me into a monster." She tilted her head, lips curling. "You already were one. I just opened the cage." His jaw tightened. He should have hated her, but he didn't. He couldn't. Every part of him pulled toward her, like gravity, like fate. Lyra raised a hand, brushing her fingers just above his chest, not touching, teasing. Her eyes never left his. "Your power will grow fast, faster than your mind can handle. The world will fear you now. The wolves will hunt you. The vampires will curse your name." Cale stepped closer, teeth bared in a half smile. "Let them try." For the first time, her gaze softened. Not weak, not gentle, just real. A flicker of something deeper beneath the perfect mask. "You're not afraid," she said. "Should I be?" She didn't answer. Instead, she turned and walked toward the altar, her every step a silent storm. He followed without meaning to. Her presence wrapped around him like a spell, a song he couldn't stop hearing. She stopped and faced him once more. "You are the only one," she said, "who has ever survived my bite." Cale's eyes narrowed. "What does that mean?" Her voice was a whisper now. "It means you belong to me, or you will die by me." A long silence fell. Then Cale moved, fast, sudden, like a storm breaking. He grabbed her wrist, not to hurt, but to feel. Her skin was ice, but it burned where they touched. Their eyes locked again, and neither looked away. "I don't belong to anyone," he said. But his heart betrayed him, because part of him already did. The night outside was alive with whispers. Trees swayed without wind. The sky burned with strange stars, red and pulsing like old wounds. The forest no longer felt like the same place. Something had changed, something within. Cale stood at the edge of the chapel ruins, eyes scanning the darkness. His breath steamed in the cold, but his body didn't feel the chill. His wounds were gone. No scars, no pain, just raw power beneath his skin, waiting to explode. He clenched his fists. His claws came without command, sharp, effortless. His senses reached far. He could hear heartbeats in the distance, smell snow melting miles away. But it wasn't just the wolf anymore. There was another rhythm inside him now. Slower, colder, hungrier. He hated it. And yet he wanted more. Behind him, Lyra watched from the shadows, her arms crossed, lips parted slightly. Moonlight touched her like a lover, outlining the curve of her face, the line of her throat. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her presence wrapped around him like smoke, impossible to hold, impossible to escape. Cale turned to face her. "What am I now?" Her voice was soft. "You're becoming." He stepped forward, the ground cracking under his boots. "Becoming what?" "Something the world has not seen," she said, "and cannot control." He stopped inches away. Her eyes glowed red, but her skin looked almost human, fragile, beautiful. He could smell her blood beneath the surface, dark and ancient. His pulse quickened. "I can feel it," he said low. "Your venom, inside me, changing me." "Not venom," she whispered. "A gift." He laughed, bitter and rough. This gift wants to burn me alive. Lyra reached out, brushing her fingers against his jaw. It was barely a touch, but it sent a jolt through him. Everything in him tensed. He should pull away. He should run. Instead, he leaned in closer. You feel it too, he said, voice darker now. Don't lie. Her eyes flicked up to meet his. I do. For a moment, the world held its breath. Then, without warning, Cale dropped to his knees. Not in weakness, not in surrender, in control. His claws dug into the frozen ground as his body trembled. The two powers inside him, the beast and the blood, fought for control. He could feel them tearing at each other, ripping through his veins. His breath came in ragged bursts. Fire burned in his bones. Lyra knelt beside him, her voice calm. You have to balance them. Fight and you'll lose. Feel and you'll survive. I'm not a vampire, he snarled. No, she said. You're something greater. His eyes snapped up, gold and glowing. Why me? Her answer was quiet. Because you were the only one strong enough to live. His chest heaved. He stared at her, this creature of moonlight and death, and saw something behind the beauty, something broken. She wasn't just dangerous. She was lonely, like him. The thought hit deeper than any wound. Their hands met, palm to palm. Her cold is heat. Balance. For a heartbeat, everything stopped, and then came the awakening. His eyes rolled back, his spine arched. A roar tore from his throat, deep, ancient, new. Black veins lit beneath his skin, and the moon above flared white. The forest screamed. When it passed, Cale was changed. Taller, stronger. Eyes burning gold and red, the blood-bound hybrid. Lyra rose beside him, a small smile playing on her lips. Now, she whispered, the world will tremble. Cale stood without effort, the wind bowing around him. Let it. The wind howled through the broken trees. But it was not the wind Cale heard. It was her. Every movement she made was a whisper against his skin. Every glance, a weight on his chest. Lyra walked ahead of him through the ruins of the forest, her bare feet silent over dead leaves and frost. Moonlight wrapped around her like a veil, turning her into something more spirit than flesh. He followed close, each step cracking frozen earth beneath his boots. His eyes never left her. He had tried. But no matter how hard he looked away, they always returned to her. She moved with no fear, no hesitation, as if the forest belonged to her. Perhaps it did. Cale's hand twitched, claws brushing against his palm. Something inside him stirred every time she breathed. The wolf wanted to claim her. The vampire blood inside him wanted to worship her. And the man wanted to understand her. They stopped by a wide stone circle covered in old markings. Firelight flickered at the center, rising from nowhere. Lyra stood on the edge, turning to face him. Do you feel it? She asked. He nodded slowly. This place, it's alive. Older than us, she said, older than the curse. Cale stepped into the circle, eyes locked on hers. Why did you bring me here? Her expression shifted, just slightly. Something playful, something dangerous. To test you. His jaw tightened. I'm not your puppet. No, she said, stepping closer. You're something far more interesting. She moved like a flame, quick, fluid, untouchable. Her hands brushed the collar of his coat. He didn't flinch. He didn't stop her. When she leaned in, her breath cool against his ear, he held still like prey before the pounce. Do you trust me? She whispered. No, he answered. Good, she smiled. Then this will be real. Her fingers slid across his chest, slow, deliberate. Sparks lit beneath his skin. She moved fast then, striking like lightning. Her legs swept his, knocking him off balance. Cale hit the ground hard, but rolled back to his feet in a blink. They circled each other. Her eyes glowed, lips curled in a wicked grin. His claws extended, eyes sharp and burning. The fire between them grew, casting their shadows in wild shapes. Then they clashed. Fang met fang. Claw met cold skin. She was faster, but he was stronger. Their strikes weren't meant to kill, only to push, to tease, to feel. Her laughter echoed through the night as she spun away from his grasp, only to return with a slash across his chest. His blood hit the snow. Kale growled, deep and low. Not in pain, but something close to pleasure. He charged. They tumbled together in the firelight, the ground shaking beneath them. She landed on top of him, hair falling like a curtain between them. "You're holding back," she said. His breath was ragged. "So are you." For a moment, neither moved. The silence stretched, heavy with tension. Her face hovered inches above his. Their eyes locked, gold and red burning into each other. Then she leaned down, lips brushing his. Not a kiss. A threat. A promise. Kale flipped her in an instant, pinning her beneath him. His voice was dark, rough. "You don't get to control me." She smiled, unafraid. "I already do." Their hearts pounded in unison. The fire roared higher. And somewhere, the forest watched, silent, waiting for what they would become. The fire had died, but the heat between them had not. Ash floated in the air like falling stars. Kale stood at the edge of the circle, chest rising slow, steady. The fresh wound on his chest had already closed. Steam rose from his skin. His blood, tainted, awakened, refused to stay down. Behind him, Lyra rose from the ground like a storm rising from calm waters. Her silver hair caught the moonlight, her red eyes sharp and unreadable. She watched him not like a predator this time, but like someone unsure if she had awakened something she could no longer tame. Kale turned to face her. "Why me?" he asked again, voice lower now. Not soft, never soft, but steady. She stepped toward him, slow and unblinking. "Because you were dying, and I was curious." His eyes narrowed. "Curious?" "Yes," she said. "The others begged. You didn't." He held her gaze. "I still won't." Lyra stopped a breath away, close enough to touch. Her voice dropped, just above a whisper. "You want to know what you are now?" Kale didn't answer. She raised her hand and pressed it lightly to his chest. Beneath her touch, the fire inside him surged again. Every beat of this heart pounded with power, ancient, mixed, wrong to the world, but right to them. "You are the end of a bloodline," she said, "and the beginning of another." The words echoed through the stones. The wind stilled. Even the stars above seemed to pause. Kale stepped back, pulling away from her hand. "I didn't ask to be your hair." "You're not," she said calmly. "You're something worse." His fists clenched, claws ready again. "Speak clearly." Her expression softened. "You're the key to something that should have never been unlocked. And now that it has, we're bound. You and I." Kale looked down at his hands. The veins beneath his skin pulsed with black fire. Not wolf, not vampire. Both, neither. "Then break it," he said. "Unbind it." "I can't," she said. "It's already done. The moment I bit you. The moment you lived." He turned from her, pacing like a caged beast. He could feel it now, the pull between them. Not just lust, not just need. Something older, heavier. His body craved her. His soul resisted her. And yet every step he took away felt wrong. Lyra moved behind him silent. "There's a way to survive it," she said. "A way to make the power yours." He turned sharply. "How?" "A blood oath," she said. His eyes burned gold. "Explain." "It's forbidden, forgotten by most, but it binds us fully. Your power becomes stable. Your mind stays yours. Your body doesn't burn from within." Kale stepped closer again, the space between them vanishing. "And what's the price?" Lyra's eyes shimmered. "You belong to me, forever." His breath caught. Then slowly, a smile curled on his lips. Not gentle, not kind, a wolf's grin. "And if I take it," he said, "do you belong to me?" Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Yes." They stood in silence. Only the wind dared to move now. Kale raised his hand, and for the first time, she didn't flinch when he touched her face. "Then let the world burn," he whispered. She pulled a small blade from her side, dark and curved. Without fear, she sliced across her palm. Dark blood welled. Kale did the same. Their hands met, blood to blood. The fire around them exploded back to life. Their eyes locked, and the bond sealed with no words, no vows, just blood. And the forest howled in the distance, sensing that something terrible and beautiful had just been born. The wind turned colder. Above, the sky had darkened into something deeper than night. No stars shone now. Only a heavy, endless black stretched over the land. The forest stood still, silent and watching, as if even the trees knew a line had been crossed. Kale walked through the shadows like a blade through silk. His body was stronger than before, movements fluid, almost too perfect. Each step left cracks in the frozen soil. The oath had changed him. It had sharpened him, and something darker now whispered inside his blood. Beside him, Lyra moved like a dream. Her feet didn't seem to touch the earth. Her silver hair shimmered under the dead sky, and her skin glowed faintly like cold fire. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. They both felt it. A pulse, steady, heavy, as if their hearts now beat as one. Kale stopped near a cliff's edge. Far below, a ruined village lay in silence. Roofs caved in, walls covered in ice, long abandoned or recently destroyed. His voice came low. "Did you know this would happen?" Lyra didn't answer right away. She stepped beside him, her gaze cast down at the ruin. "I knew the world wouldn't welcome what we've become," she said softly. Kale turned to her, jaw tight. "You said this bond would save me." "It did," she said, "but it didn't save them." He looked back down. No bodies, no blood, just silence. "Who did this?" he asked. Lyra's voice was like frost. "Something old. Something that felt your awakening." Kale's claws extended slowly. Not from rage, from instinct, from need. "Let it come," he said. "I'll tear it apart." Lyra stepped closer, her hand brushing his arm. "You will, but not yet. Your power still grows." He turned toward her fully, eyes glowing like fire behind storm clouds. "I don't care about the power. I care about you." That stopped her. For all her calm, for all her grace, her breath hitched for the first time. Not out of fear, not out of shock. Something deeper, something she had buried long ago. Kale stepped even closer. His hand reached out, fingers trailing the edge of her jaw. She didn't move, didn't blink. "Whatever this is," he said, "whatever it's making me, I need to know if you feel it too." Her eyes flickered. "I do." The space between them vanished. He pulled her close, holding her like something fragile and dangerous. Her hand slid up his chest, resting over the place where his heart pounded wild beneath the surface. She could feel the war inside him, wolf and blood, man and monster, and through it all her. "Then don't run from it," he said. "We finished what we started." Lyra looked up at him. Her lips parted slightly, her voice barely a whisper. "Even if it destroys everything." He didn't blink, especially then. They stood on the cliff, a storm building above them. Dark clouds swirled, flashing with distant light. Something ancient stirred beneath the earth, drawn to them, to their bond. But in that moment, they didn't care. They had chosen each other, and now the world would answer for it. Far below, shadows began to crawl from the ruined village. Twisted shapes, hollow eyes, creatures not alive, not dead. They moved in silence, drawn by the scent of new power. Kale looked down and bared his teeth, not in fear, in hunger. "They're coming," he said. Lyra stepped beside him, eyes glowing red. "Let them." And together, they walked into the night, bound by blood, burned by fate. Ready for war, the sky cracked open with thunder. Beneath the storm, the ruins lit with pale fire as shadows poured from every corner of the earth. Twisted things, eyes hollow, limbs too long, bodies made of bone and darkness. They moved like smoke, but screamed like beasts. Kale stepped forward, unshaken. The wind howled around him, but his heart was steady. His claws burned with fire now, glowing faint under his skin. He could feel the blood oath pulsing in his veins, sharpening his senses, making every sound crystal clear. Behind him, Lyra stood tall, still and graceful. The storm caught in her silver hair, her red eyes glowing brighter than lightning. She raised one hand, and the darkness seemed to pause. "They were sent by the old ones," she said quietly. "They fear what we've become." Kale's voice was low. "They should." Without another word, he lunged. He tore into the creatures like a storm of fury, claws slicing through shadow. Their screams split the sky, but he didn't stop. His body moved with perfect control, each strike guided by instinct, each step heavy with power. Ash filled the air. One of the creatures leaped for him, mouth wide, black smoke spilling from its throat. Kale grabbed it midair and crushed its head with a single blow. The body turned to dust before it hit the ground. Lyra moved behind him, silent and deadly. She danced through the chaos, every step a blur, every movement a blade. She didn't strike with rage, she struck with elegance. A touch to the chest, a whisper to the throat, and the monsters fell apart like shadows under the sun. They fought together, not as two, but as one. At times, Kale could feel her beside him before he even turned. She would appear just when he needed her, when a blade came too close, when a creature crept from behind, and he did the same. Not out of duty, out of something deeper. They were bound, not just in blood, in purpose. The battle stretched into the night, and still the creatures came. Kale growled, chest heaving. How many are there? Lyra spun, driving her hand into a creature's chest. It burst apart in smoke. Enough to test us, she said. Kale wiped ash from his face, eyes locked on her. Then let's give them something to remember. He grabbed a broken pillar and hurled it into the crowd. Stone shattered bone. Screams echoed. Then he dropped to all fours, the wolf rising inside him. His form shifted, part beast, part man, all fury. Lyra watched him, breath catching for only a moment, not in fear, in awe. He moved like a god of war, tearing through the swarm with fire in his veins and death in his hands. She followed, her strikes like falling stars, fast, silent, unstoppable. Soon the field was quiet. Ash rained from the sky. The storm above faded into silence, and all that remained was the sound of Kale's breath and the soft crackle of the dying fire. He stood at the center, body bruised, chest rising slow. Blood dripped from his claws. Behind him, Lyra approached, untouched, her eyes never leaving him. You're changing, she said, voice soft but steady. Kale turned to her, his body still glowing faint from the power. Into what? Her lips curled into a faint, dangerous smile. Into what the world has feared. He stepped closer, not tired, not broken, reborn. Then they should pray, he said. They will, she replied, but it won't save them. Their hands met again, blood-stained but firm. No words needed. The bond between them was no longer a curse. It was a weapon. And the world would soon feel its edge. Dawn never came. The sky bulled with a cold red light, neither morning nor night. The stars had fled. The sun hid behind thick clouds of smoke and magic. The world had changed, and its heartbeat now echoed with the rhythm of something ancient and awakened. Kale stood on the edge of the old world, his cloak torn, skin marked with battle. His golden eyes burned with fire that would never fade. Every breath he took drew power from the oath. Every step he made shook the earth. Lyra stood beside him, silent and still. She looked untouched by the chaos they had passed through, her beauty as sharp as it was deadly. Moonlight lived in her eyes. The fire in her veins matched the hunger in his. Beneath them, the last stronghold of the old order rose from the stone hills. High towers, white walls, the seat of the Lightborn. Those who had hunted her kind, those who had cast out his. He looked down at the fortress. They still think they can stop us. Lyra's voice was soft. They have faith, but faith won't shield them from what's coming. Kale turned to her, the fire in his chest burning brighter than ever. Neither will steal. She met his gaze, her lips parting with something close to a smile. Are you ready? He nodded once. I was ready the moment you touched me. Together they walked. The wind followed them. Trees bent beneath the weight of their steps. The ground cracked and breathed dark mist. They approached the gates. The guards of light stood tall, armored in silver, spears pointed forward, their eyes filled with fear even before the battle began. Kale didn't wait. He leaped through them like a storm, claws tearing metal, roars shaking stone. Lyra moved like smoke behind him, each movement graceful, precise, final. Where Kale crushed, she sliced. Where he broke, she ended. The gates fell. The walls burned. The Lightborn screamed, and no god came to save them. Kale reached the heart of the stronghold, where the altar stood, once a place of holy power, now cracked with dark veins. He stood over it, chest rising slow. Lyra joined him, blood dripping from her fingertips, eyes bright and endless. "This was never about revenge," she said. Kale looked at her, voice low. "No, it's about becoming what they feared." She nodded. "We are not mistake. We are not curse." He stepped forward and placed his hand on the altar. The blood in his veins answered, roaring louder than thunder. Stone shattered. A surge of black fire burst from the ground, spiraling into the sky. A new signal. A call to every hidden creature, every outcast, every cursed soul. The world would no longer be ruled by light. From now on, it would kneel to them. Kale turned to Lyra, his voice rough with power. "What now?" She smiled, soft and dangerous. "Now we build our kingdom." He reached for her hand. She didn't hesitate. Their fingers locked, their blood mixed. The storm above them quieted for the first time in days. In that silence, in that stillness, two creatures stood where once a man and woman had been. Neither wolf, neither vampire. Something greater. And in the dark corners of the world, something ancient stirred again, called by power, bound by fate, waiting to rise. But for now, they ruled the silence. For now, they were together, and nothing could stand against them.